Good morning and welcome to discuss Nigeria on African Free Press Television. My name is Oketa, and today we'll be taking you back to the legal tussle between the Code of Conduct Tribunal and the Senate President Bukola Saraki. And with me in the studio today are two fine gentlemen, Mr. Nana Oketa, who is a legal practitioner here in Abuja and a former member of the Nigerian Youth Parliament. You're welcome to the program, sir.
Thank you very much.
And on my left, we have Mr. Tasiechi Adikobi, who is a media professional and a political observer. You're welcome to the program as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lee.
Now, let's hit the nail. What are the mandates of the Code of Conduct Tribunal and the limitations to the jurisdiction?
The Code of Conduct Tribunal is a creation of statutes. Paragraph 15 in the fifth schedule of the 1999 Constitution clearly provides for the Code of Conduct Tribunal and its functions, its duties, makes provisions for the chairman and the members and what their functions are. The clear provision is to the effect that the Code of Conduct Tribunal shall be charged with the responsibility of checking and overseeing the conduct of public officers while in office, as well as with the submission of their assets declaration as made by them before assumption of office, as provided under the law. The limitations with regards to the responsibilities and jurisdictions of the Code of Conduct Tribunal is as provided. I do not foresee any ambiguity or any confusion there. The mandate of the Code of Conduct Tribunal simply has to do with public officers. It has nothing to do with the interpretation of the laws or constitution or any other statutes, as it were the duty of the other courts, as clearly spelled out in Section 6 of the 1999 Constitution.
Okay, if I would have to come in here, Mr. Tasiechi Adikobi, what do you think about that? What are the mandates of the Code of Conduct Tribunal and the limitations in jurisdiction?
Thank you very much, Mr. Liu. To make the point clear, the Code of Conduct Tribunal is a creation of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and is an establishment which has been set up to deal with complaints of corruption by public servants for the breach of its provisions.
Okay, we would have to look at it from that perspective, obviously. But part of the interesting sections of Saraki's case was that he said that at this point, the country has no Attorney General of the Federation, asking who directed the applicant to file the suit.
The powers of the Attorney General of the Federation can be exercised by himself personally and can also exercise through any officer of his department, as clearly envisaged in Section 174 sub 2 of the 1999 Constitution. There is a Solicitor General of the Federation who, in the absence of the Attorney General, acts in his stead. And so the argument as to the fact that there's no Attorney General at the moment is to me of no moment. But of course, looking at it jurisprudentially, one would want to argue if the prosecution counsel is an officer in the Department of the Ministry of Justice. That should be Rotimi Jacob, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, who is prosecuting the Senate President. And so the argument for me that there's no substantive Attorney General, as it were, does not hold water.
And then, the more it goes and calms down, it comes down, to the political part of it, where you have the Senate President equally trying to say that this whole thing is politically motivated and then malicious. What do you think about that?
Well, the whole incident boils down to a desperate bid, to solve political scores. Now, when you check out the outcome of the incident that surrounded the outcome of him being elected as president of the Senate.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah, you can see, people were like leaders of the party, of his party. It's very obvious that he was never the choice, as the leaders of his party had, when you check out, when you see people like Bola Tinubu,
Yeah.
who take the shots in the party,
Yeah.
it's obvious that both him and in the lower house, they were never the choice of
Yeah.
the top hierarchy of the APC party.
Yeah.
So what's the simple thing you can get out of this thing is just there is a bid, there is desperation to settle political scores.
And then I'll have to come back to you, Mr. Nana. Is it a case of the witch crying at night and then in the morning the baby is dead? Because when you look at it from that perspective, you see that all of a sudden the Code of Conduct Tribunal just wakes up after 12 years of Saraki having filed the assets declaration form. What do you have to say?
A lot of people will think that the Code of Conduct Tribunal has shown bad faith in the conduct of this proceedings. But let's be clear that in criminal liability, there is no limitation of time. It is not statute bad. An accused person can be arrested anytime, even after donkey years, and prosecuted. But I cannot disagree with you on the facts that the actions and then the incidents that happened prior to this time, looking at the facts that the Senate President's wife was recently invited by the EFCC and quizzed. The manager of Societe Generale Bank, who works for Saraki, had been declared wanted by EFCC, and now Saraki himself is arraigned before the Code of Conduct Tribunal. You would want to see the links between these events and then, call it political hounding. But as far as I'm concerned, I am one of those who believe that if Saraki is, if he's not guilty of the crime he's alleged to have committed, he should make himself available, and I'm happy he did so.
Yeah, and then he did, obviously, Mr. Tassi, he did. And would you say that, okay, having come to present himself, here I am, CCT, do with me whatever you will, would you say in your own perspective that he is a law-abiding citizen?
Well, before I start, let us remember that he already sent a petition to the Federal High Court concerning the manner in which the CCB, that is the Code of Conduct Tribunal, was filing a case against him on his, on the alleged false declaration of his assets. Now, based on the legal advice he received from his lead counsel, that the Code of Conduct Tribunal will have to respect the letter of the Federal High Court, which is a superior court of records.
Yeah. Okay, so in that sense, we could say, okay, fine, he has done the needful by coming to submit himself. But still looking at it, this is Nigeria. This is our country, and where politics is always interesting, to say the least. And now, can you just say that we have a plan now to fight corruption? What does this hold for the future of our democracy in this country?
I cannot say we have a plan to fight corruption. There is no plan. The system is sided. The whole political space is bastardized. People are being hounded with the use of agencies meant for the tackling of corruption in this country. So we cannot say there's a plan. I do not see that plan. If you have seen any, tell me. I do not see that plan.
I'm asking.
I do not see that plan yet. I think the issue is that we must learn as Nigerians to react objectively to events. Yes, Saraki can contend that he's been witch hunted, and it's clear enough. It's clear for even the blind to see and for the deaf to hear. But the truth is, if you say you are innocent, you should make yourself available to answer to your to the accusation leveled against you. And I think he has done that. And I give kudos to him in that regard. The only place where I feel we should look at is the fact that an appeal was lying before the Court of Appeal, and the Code of Conduct Bureau still went ahead to entertain that action. That's a clear abuse of court process. It is elementary law that when an appeal has been filed and record transmitted to the Court of Appeal, the Court of Instant Jurisdiction ceases to have jurisdiction. The judge becomes pontus officio. He cannot at that moment take any step in respect of that matter. With regards to his petition at the Federal High Court, I do not feel that the Code of Conduct Tribunal should have submitted itself to the decision of the Federal High Court. Because the Code of Conduct Bureau is also a creation of the Constitution with its own functions, duties, and power clearly delineated from that of the Federal High Court, and it cannot subject itself to judicial review by the Federal High Court. Appeals from the Code of Conduct Tribunal lie to the Court of Appeal, and not to the Federal High Court. And appeal from the Federal High Court lie also to the Court of Appeal. So I feel that the Code of Conduct Tribunal should have waited to know the outcome of the decision of the Court of Appeal before going ahead to issue another bench warrant for the arrests of Saraki when he failed to appear the first time, notwithstanding the fact that he was challenging the jurisdiction of the Code of Conduct Tribunal. The truth is that an accused person cannot be tried in absentia. He has to make himself available. Even though I would say that I think Section 154 of the CPC makes it possible for an accused person to be tried in absentia if he writes to the court and then makes appearance through his counsel. He does not necessarily have to appear there himself, and this is the Northern region governed by the CPC. So I think in that regard, he had the opportunity of saying, I'm not going to subject myself to your jurisdiction, since I am challenging the jurisdiction of the court.
Okay, and that's where we would have to draw the curtain for today's program. But I must not fail to thank my gentlemen who are here in the studio with me this morning. Mr. Nnanna Oketa, who is a legal practitioner in Abuja and a former member of the Nigerian Youth Parliament. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And Mr. Tasiechi Alikobi, who is a media professional and a political observer. As of us, the rest of the faithful in Nigeria would have to keep praying, would have to keep asking God to give us a better Nigeria, and we hope for a better Nigeria, because this is an interesting country. This is an amazing country. This is where we'll have to stop for today. See you next time as I remain Leo Oketa. Bye-bye.